Dear students, welcome to the massive open online course. My name is Dr. Milton Devadayavu, Assistant Professor, Department of Public Administration, Madras Christian College, Chennai. In the previous session, we were discussing about center-state relationship. Today, we are going to discuss such a interesting topics: who can levy tax, who can collect the taxes, who can utilize those taxes. But this article 268 to 293 of part 12 explains about the financial relations of the center and state. There are 7 things we are supposed to discuss. First is allocation of taxing powers. Second is distribution of taxing revenue. Third is distribution of non-tax revenues. Fourth is grant in aid. Fifth is borrowing by the center and the state. Sixth is inter-government tax immunities. The last one is effect of emergency. These 7 things we are going to discuss under the topic called the financial relations between center and state according to the article 268 to 293 part 12. First, we are going to discuss about allocation of taxing power. According to article 246 to 248 talks about the legislative relations. Parliament has the exclusive power to levy taxes on subject enumerated in the union list. This power is exclusively given to the Parliament. Parliament has the exclusive power to levy taxes on subjects enumerated in the union list. State legislature has the exclusive power to levy taxes on subject enumerated in the state list. Article 246 to 48 explains about the power of center and the state when it comes to levy the taxes, financial taxation power. Both union and state can levy taxes on matters enumerated in the concurrent list. For certain cases, this is called concurrent list. Both center and state government can levy taxes. Best example is article 101. This 101 is very familiar, which talks about GST. Before GST, it was under article 268. Now this 2016 GST amendment, 101 amendment, now given power not only for the center, even for the state government. This tells that the legislative power is different from financial power regarding the concurrent list. See, this explains about legislative power is something different when it comes to the financial power of the center and the state government. Residuary power of the taxation is vested in the Parliament. Apart from these power, something called residuary power. This residuary power, which is exclusively for the taxation, it is vested in the Parliament. It is under the control of Parliament. See, this topic, allocation of taxing power, explains about the power of center while allocating the tax, the power of state government for allocating the taxes, which gives freedom for both the government, center as well as state government. Now, we will discuss about distribution of tax revenues, second one. Distribution of tax revenues are 2 important amendment act, article 80 and 101. These 2 amendments explains about how this tax revenues can be distributed between center and the state. The 88th Constitution Amendment Act led to the way for article 268, which means the service tax levied by the union and collected and appropriated by the union and the states. The 80th Amendment, which has led the way for Article 268, service taxes levied by the central government, collected and appropriated by the center and the state. The 80th Constitution Amendment Act was made by the 10th Financial Commission in the year of 2000. See, this recommendation, this 80th amendment, how this power has been given is 29% of income should be given to the state government, which means union government cannot keep all the revenues which has been collected by the union government. 29% of the revenue from the total revenue has to be given back to the state governments. This is known as alternative scheme of devolution, how the power is being distributed from center to the state. That is why it is called alternative scheme of devolution, distribution of tax revenue. Taxes are levied and collected by the center but assigned to the state. According to the Article 269, it mentions about taxes are levied and collected by the center but assigned to the states, which means taxes are levied by the center but assigned to the state government. It is for the state government. State government has to collect taxes on the sale or purchase of goods other than newspaper, in the course of interstate trade, if any trade happens between two states, for an example Tamil Nadu and Karnataka or Punjab and Gujarat, the proceeds under this from part of the consolidated fund of the state. Taxes are levied and collected by the center but distributed between the center and state according to Article 270. Taxes are levied by the center and collected by the center, but there will be a distribution between center and the state according to Article 270. The matter of distribution of these taxes is prescribed by the President based on the recommendation of the Finance Commission. Based on the recommendation given by the Finance Commission to the President, so that these distribution will take place. Sometimes Finance Commission can give recommendation based on the need of the state, based on the expenditure supposed to be met by the state government, so that in order to meet the expenditure, Finance Commission can give recommendation to the President, so that based on that this will be distributed. The third is distribution of non-tax revenue. First we discussed about allocation of tax revenue, the power between center and the state. Second is about, we discussed about distribution of tax revenue. Third is, we are going to discuss distribution of non-tax revenues. The union government receipts from railways, banking, communication, coinage and currency, public sector undertakings owned by central government, public sector enterprises owned by central government, post and telegraphs are the few examples. Distribution of non-tax revenues. For the state governments, receipts from irrigations, fisheries, forest and state owned PSUs. These are all few examples for the distribution of non-tax revenue. Revenue which comes from these will be distributed for the union government and the state government, because these are all non-tax revenues for the center and the state government. For an example, if central government owned public sector enterprises or the revenue which comes from the state owned public sector enterprises, it is the revenue for the respective government, for the center or the state government. Now we will move on to the fourth one is grants in aid. What is grants in aid? Constitution provides for a grant in aid to the state from central resources. State government can get grant in aid from the central government. There are two types of grants. First is statutory grants, second is discretionary grants. Statutory and discretionary grants. What is statutory grants? Article 275 provides power to the central government to provide grants to the needy states. According to the Article 275, whenever the state governments are in the need, at that time they can get grant from the center, according to the Article 275. This grant may not or cannot be the same for all the states. It may differ from one state to other state, because the need of the state definitely differ. Whatever need for the West Bengal may not be the same for Maharashtra. Whatever need for the northeastern states may not be same for the southern part of India. It differs from state to state. Based on the requirement, based on the need, this grant in aid will be given to the respective states. The grants can be given based on the recommendation of the Finance Commission. Who will give recommendation to give certain grant, certain amount as a grant to the particular state? This recommendation will be given by the Finance Commission. They will have a detailed study, detailed report for allocation of certain amount as a grant to the particular state based on the need of the state. Second, discretionary tax. Article 282 talks about both the center and the states to make any grants for the any public purpose, even if it is not within their legislative competence. This discretion means they have discretionary power to give grants. According to Article 282, it talks about for the both center and the state to make any grant for any public purpose. It can be any public purpose, even if it is not within their legislative competence. They can give grant. The center is under no obligation to give these grants, and the matter lies within the discretion of the state government. Probably they can give grant to the neighboring state. This will be done by the recommendation of Nidhi Ayog. Nidhi Ayog will be given the recommendation for the discretionary tax. For the statutory tax, Finance Commission will give recommendation. The third is other grants. What is other grants? Apart from statutory grants and discretionary grants, something called the third important is other grants. Constitution provides for a temporary grant for a specific purpose. See, this other grant, which does not mean that they have to give each and every year or each and every 10 years or 5 years. No, it is not like that. Constitution provides for a temporary grant for specific purpose, for specific time period. Example, grants for the states of Assam, Bihar, Odisha and West Bengal in lieu of export duties on jute products. They have given grants to the particular states especially for this specific purpose. This can be given a period of 10 years from the commencement based on the recommendation of Finance Commission. See, based on the recommendation from the Finance Commission, this was given only for 10 years. This may extend or may not extend after the completion of 10 years. These grants have two-folded purpose. First is to help the state financially to fulfill the grants. It is twofold purpose, to help the state financially to fulfill plan targets. This grants in aid, what is the role of Finance Commission? When the distribution of financial powers between center and state, the role of Finance Commission is very vital. Article 280 provides for a Finance Commission as a quasi-judicial body. Article 280 gives power to the Finance Commission to act as a quasi-judicial body. It is constituted by the President every 5th year or even earlier for some of the cases. Every 5th year there will be a Finance Commission. It is required to make recommendation to the Presidents on the following matters. This Finance Commission required to make recommendation to the Presidents on the following matters. First is the distribution of the net proceeds of taxes to be shared between the center and state, and the allocation between the states the respective shares of such profits. The distribution of the net proceeds, how this can be, taxes can be shared between center and the state. The Finance Commission give its recommendation to the President. How this allocation can be happen between the state and the center. Second is the principles should govern the grant in aid to the states by the center. This can be from the Consolidated Fund of India, this can be given. The principle should be govern the grant in aid by the state government. Third is the measures needed to be augmented the Consolidated Fund of India of a state to supplement the resource of the panchayat and the municipalities in the states on the recommendation made by the State Finance Commission. State Finance Commission also can give recommendation how this money even can be allocated to the local governments, to the panchayat and to the municipalities. The last one is about any other matter referred to it by the President in the interest of sound finance. Also Finance Commission can give recommendation on any other matters in order to have a sound finance. These are all 4 recommendations from the Finance Commission to the President. Next we will discuss about borrowings. What is borrowings basically? Borrowings means in case of need, the center or state governments can borrow money from other sources. See, center government can borrow money from within the country or from outside the country upon the security of the Consolidated Fund of India, or can give guarantees, but both within the limits fixed by the Parliament. Here center can borrow money from within the country, or they can borrow money from the outside of the country, can borrow money from the other countries or other agencies like World Bank or Asian Development Bank, something like that they can borrow money. But whatever Parliament has fixed, they can borrow only to that extent, they cannot go beyond that, provided they can keep the security of the Consolidated Fund of India to give the guarantee. Without guarantee, no other agencies or countries can give money to the country. For the security purpose, this Consolidated Fund of India or bonds can be kept as a guarantee for the central government. Then what is the case for state? Even state government also can borrow money, but with the limitation. What is that limitation? State government can borrow money from the neighboring state, not from any other sources apart from the country. They cannot borrow money from the country, any other country, for an example, or Japan or America or Singapore. State government can borrow money from the neighboring state. On the special cases, if state government wants to borrow money with the approval of central government, yes. If central government gives guarantee, this is possible, otherwise it cannot be done. But the state government can borrow money only from within the country, not from the outside country, upon the security of the Consolidated Fund of the state, or can give the guarantees, but both within the limits fixed by the state legislature. For the central government, the limit will be fixed by the parliament. For the state government, the limit will be fixed by the state legislature in terms of borrowing money. The next is intergovernmental tax immunities. What is intergovernmental tax immunities? See, the property of the central government are exempted paying the taxes levied by the state government. Whatever properties are there in the central government, which is there in the jurisdiction of any of the state governments, these properties are exempted from paying the tax to the respective state governments, because this is central government's property. They need not to pay taxes for that particular property to the respective state governments where it is exactly located. For an example, this exemption is not applicable to companies or corporations created by the central government. This is not applicable for companies or corporations which is created by the central government. The property and income of the state is exempted from the central taxation. Likewise, for property of the state and income, not only for the property, also income of the state are exempted from the taxes to the central government. They need not to pay taxes for the property of the state government. Also, the income which comes for the state government from the various sources of the state, they need not to pay taxes for these two, property and income of the state government. However, the center can tax commercial operations of the state if a parliamentary provides for it. Exceptional cases, the center can tax commercial operations of the state if parliamentary provides for it. The property and income of local authorities situated within a state are not exempted from the central taxation. The property as well as income of local authorities situated within a state which will not be exempted from the paying of the tax to the central. They are supposed to pay their central tax. Now we are come to the last financial relations between center and state, emergency. See, there are two types of emergencies: national emergency and financial emergency. National emergency, Article 352 says the national emergency, Article 360 explains about the financial emergency. Now let us discuss about what is national emergency. See, Article 352 explains about President can modify revenue distribution between the center and the state government. During this national emergency or financial emergency, whenever emergency is imposed, the state financial relations between center and state may change. During this national or financial emergencies, the relationship between center and state in terms of finance, you can expect some changes. The national emergency, Article 352, gives rights to the president. President can modify the revenue distribution between center and the state government only during the national emergency. Such modification continues till the end of financial year in which the emergency ceases to operate. This change can continue till the end of the financial year. Now we will discuss about financial emergency. What is financial emergency? What is Article 360? See, this financial emergency, center can give directions to the state to observe the specified canons of financial property. During this financial emergency, center can give directions to the state to observe specified canons of financial property. If state government says that they are facing huge financial crisis, means that time central can give some directions to the state government. For an example, chief minister or ministers are using more resources so that they can give directions to reduce those resources in order to save the expenditure. Let us say if they are using 10 cars for the travel, so that they can get, central government can give direction to reduce, so that it can cut the cost, it can minimize the expenditure of the state government. Reduce the salaries and allowances of all class of persons serving in the state. Central government can give recommendation to the state government to reduce the salaries of the government employees for the certain period, so that if this reduction can help to save certain amount of money, so that this money can be used for the welfare of the state government. To reserve all money bills other than financial bills for the consideration to the president. They can reserve all money bills and other financial bills for the consideration of the president. Next one is very happy thing is, so far till now, not even one time financial emergency has not imposed in our country. So it is not it, so far it has not happened in our country. Now we will discuss other important division of functions. In a federation, the federal government is assigned function which relates to affairs of the country as a whole. It gives how these functions can be divided between center and state. In India, the division of functions between center and state is the result of the fairly a long process of devolution. How this is divided, these powers and function is divided between center and state. The constitution also has provision about financial relations between center and state government for raising enough funds. Constitution given such a power for both the government, center and state, to levy taxes and collect taxes, to raising enough funds for the welfare of the respective government. Article 292, which authorizes the union government to borrow upon the security of the consolidated funds of India within the limits which may fixed by the parliament from time to time, which gives such a power to the parliament, they can fix time to time. Article 293 fixes territorial limits on the borrowing of the states, which clearly explains about how the center and state government can borrow money within the country or outside the country. What is the regulation for borrowing money from within the country, what is the regulation for if they are borrowing from the other countries or other agencies like Asian Development Bank or World Bank and so on. Article 285 exempts the property of the union from all taxes imposed by the state or by any other authority within the state unless parliament by law provided otherwise. Article 285 says about the exempts the property of the union government need not to pay taxes to the state government, whatever property union government holds in the respective states. During the proclamation of the financial emergency, the president can suspend the provision relating to the division of taxes between the union and the state grants in aid to the state. That is the power of the president. During the financial emergency, president can suspend the provisions relating to the divisions of the tax between center and the state. Grants will be given to the state. Based on the 10th Finance Commission recommendation, an alternative schemes for sharing the taxes between union and states has been enacted by 88th Constitutional Amendment Act. According to this amendment, 29% of the gross proceeds of the union taxes and duties to be given to the state governments. Now we reached at the end of this lecture. I would like to recap what important topics we discussed under the article 268 to 293 part 12, which explains the relationship between center and state. First is allocation of taxing power between central and the state government, distribution of tax revenues, distribution of non-tax revenues, grant in aid, borrowing by the center and state, intergovernmental tax immunities, effect of emergencies. These important 7 topics we discussed under center-state relationship. Just I would like to conclude my session by saying the constitutional provisions in India can be traced to division of powers given in the Government of India Act of 1935, clearly explains about the constitutional powers between center and state. The division of power provision in the Constitution of India is elaborately outlined in the 3 lists. These lists are list 1 union list, list 2 state, list 3 concurrent list. So far we discussed about the center state relationship. Dear students, you can make a note of few questions so that if you go through these questions, you will be able to understand in a detail about this topic. First one is about what is the division of parts. Also, what is mentioned in Article 268 to 293 when it comes to financial relationship between center and state. With that, I would like to conclude my session. All the very best. Thank you so much.